Hey guys, it was good Triple J boxing. So we just seen Tszyu, Bakram Martizaliev. Good fight while it lasted. Pretty much one-sided. Tim did land a couple good shots that seemed to get Martizaliev's attention, but that just made him more locked in and focused to land that left hook. And I want to talk about this fight in the sense that it reminded me of Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney, in the sense that Tszyu, his game plan, which to his credit, his game plan is more tailored to standing and trading and throwing shots. Whereas Devin Haney, that's just not his style, right? Like Devin Haney was fighting outside of his comfort zone against a powerful puncher in Ryan Garcia. Whereas Tszyu, at least that's his strong suit, or he thought he was stronger than Martizaliev to do what he was doing and standing in front of him. Even when he was hurt, he'd get back up and try to push Bakram back and pressure. So it's more understandable that Tim would fight like that, but for Devin Haney, it's just completely dumb game plan. Why he would want to fight a guy like Ryan like that on the inside. But I can give you why he fought like that, and I can give you the similarities why I'm comparing these two fights together. Now they both had no defense for the left hook at all whatsoever. The game plan was terrible, especially for Devin Haney, and it was terrible for Tszyu to keep on trying to pressure and not ease into the fight after he got dropped and just kind of take it easy. But so I think going into the fight, there's similarities as well. Meaning that like I felt like Tszyu was overlooking Bakram Martizaliev like most of us were, besides maybe his team and his hardcore fans, which he was relatively unknown. Like I went back and I watched all his knockout highlights. He's got quite a bit of knockouts, decent puncher. And I watched his last fight against Jack Kolke. And to be honest, I wasn't impressed with his defense, and that's what led me to believe that Tszyu would eventually maybe catch him too much and hurt him, because Tszyu got power, and he was technically sound in the way he threw his punches. So I assumed if Jack Kolke was landing that many shots, and I know looking back on it, Jack Kolke is a different style of fighter. And I didn't know going into this fight or going into the last fight, that it was during Ramadan and he was drained, he said. And he said he was fighting on pure heart. So I didn't know that going into this fight. I was basing it off of defense looked terrible. He was getting hit a lot. And that was his first step up against Jack Kolke, a guy who was 39 years old. So that's why I thought Tim was going to win. But if you told me, and even if you did tell me that he was going through Ramadan during that Jack Kolke fight, I wouldn't have put that much into it. I still would have thought, okay, he still got hit quite a bit. That's not a complete excuse for the lack of defense. I would still say that. But, I mean, now when I actually look at, maybe I wasn't giving enough credit for that win against Jack Kolke, because Jack Kolke did fight pretty decent opposition throughout his career, even though he was on the losing end. He did fight, so he wasn't a bum, obviously. And his, like I said, his style is different than Tszyu. I just thought like Tszyu was just too young and hungry and had the power to win the fight against Martizaliev, but I was completely wrong. And so I think Tszyu underestimated him just like I did. And I knew he was a tough guy. I knew Martizaliev was tough. I just didn't think he had the defense to deal with Tszyu's power shots coming his way. And Tszyu was going to probably stop him late or get a decision. That was my prediction. So, totally wrong there. Totally shocked me the way it went. I'm not shocked that Martizaliev won the fight. I'm shocked the way he won the fight. Because if he won by decision, or he dropped Tszyu later, or he dropped him, and maybe even a late stoppage. That would still probably shock me, to be honest. I thought if Martuzaliev was going to win, it would probably be a decision win, or maybe at most he'd get a couple knockdowns, but I didn't think he would stop Tszyu. So going into the fight, Tim Tszyu totally underestimated this guy. I don't care. I know some people will say that's an excuse, and I'm not giving him an excuse. I think even if he was prepared, it was going to be a fight no matter what. Maybe he still would have lost anyway, but it definitely would have went on longer, I feel like. So I feel like he was overconfident. He overlooked him. He thought Martuzaliev was nothing. He thought he was a weaker link in the division. And he was thinking about bigger and better things. And same, also I'll compare it to Devin Haney. Devin Haney thought that Ryan Garcia was totally, had a screw loose in his head, wasn't right mentally, physically. He was drinking. He smelt it on his breath during the face-off. Who knows if he was doing drugs? That's what Devin Haney thought anyway, even if he was or wasn't. Ryan Garcia just said he was smoking weed and drinking. So Devin definitely underestimated Ryan Garcia, and who couldn't? Who couldn't? If the guy was acting like that, it would be hard to stay focused and take him seriously, a guy like that. So I felt like Devin Haney went into the fight thinking it'd be a cakewalk, and that's why his game plan was terrible, because he thought he could knock out Ryan Garcia. He thought he could just do whatever he wanted. It didn't matter. Devin Haney thought no matter what style he fought in, he was going to beat Ryan Garcia and knock him out. That wasn't the case. He didn't have the power. He didn't have the defense. And that's similar to Tim Tszyu. They both lacked defense for that left hook, and it led to their demise. And the only reason why Devin Haney lasted longer than Tim Tszyu is because I feel like Ryan Garcia really didn't train that hard. Like, I mean, he says he trained, others say he barely trained, and then after the fact, Ryan Garcia came out. I think he said after the fight he didn't really train, like months after the fight or something. Who knows what the real story was? I mean, if you ask me, I don't think he was training. I think he was training hard when he was training. What I mean is, I don't think he was consistent in training. I don't think he was totally disciplined and dedicated day in and day out training. I think when he did go to the gym, he put in 100%, but he wasn't going to the gym as much as he should have. And it showed in the fight. He was gassing out in rounds and doing nothing. And then every time he would throw shots, he had hurt Devin Haney, because Devin Haney had no defense. But yeah, so I feel like if Ryan Garcia actually trained like he should have for Devin Haney, it would have looked like a Tim Tszyu Martuzaliev. It would have ended a lot earlier. Some refs maybe would have waved off the Devin Haney though knockdown when he was out on his feet trying to get up, looking like Bambi trying to get up, and then the ref was giving him an extra minute. I think he took a point from Ryan, didn't he? I know he gave Devin like a whole minute to recover after those knockdowns. He called them slips. But I feel like if Ryan actually took it seriously and he wasn't focusing on other things that was going on in his life and in the world and all that, what he was doing, that's the only reason why I feel like Devin Haney lasted longer than the way Tim Tszyu, because there's so much similarities to this fight if you think about it. And the things that come to mind is defense of both guys was terrible. Devin Haney and Tim Tszyu. Couldn't stop the left hook. Got hit with every left hook at will, pretty much. Game plan was terrible, especially for Devin Haney even more, since Devin Haney's not known to be that power punching guy to stand. You shouldn't do that. Whereas Tim Tszyu, it's more explainable why he would do that. But obviously after he got hurt, he should have not continued to pressure Martuzaliev, but he did. So maybe that was a mistake there looking back on that. He should have regrouped a bit more, because I think both guys got concussed from that first left hook knockdown on both men. I think they were both not the same anymore after that. I think they were both compromised after that point. And I think both of them went into their fights thinking it was going to be easy work and overlooking the guy. And another thing, they both got caught cold. Now, I know they do warm up in the dressing room, they warm up, but still, Emmanuel Stewart would always say, and HBO commentators, George Foreman would say it, he looks dry, Jim. It's because you need to warm up properly, or you're going to get you can be more susceptible to getting knocked out when you're not warmed up properly. The body's, it's like warming up a car in the winter. You don't want to just go right away. You want to warm up the engine. And so I feel like both men got caught early, and they got caught cold. They underestimated the guy. The defense was bad, and maybe the concussions even made them drop their hand even more, and they weren't aware. That could be a possibility too. But look at all these similarities, and like I said, the only difference is that Ryan Garcia was a compromised fighter going into the fight, whereas Backram, he don't fuck around. Backram was not drinking, not smoking, totally dedicated in the training camp, whereas Ryan Garcia wasn't. So I feel like if Ryan actually was dedicated, and I think he would have an easier time with Devin Haney going into that fight. But yeah, so it was just the perfect storm went wrong for Tszyu. But let me know if you guys feel like it's similarities you see in the two fights of this fight. Anyway, of Ryan Garcia versus Devin Haney and Backram Martazalia versus Tszyu, because I feel like there's a lot of similarities, and that's why it's good to never overlook anyone. But obviously, there's always it's harder. It's easier said than done because you can train hard and all, but it might still be in the back of your head subconsciously. You're thinking, oh, I want to fight Crawford next. I want to fight oh, Martazalia looked terrible in his last fight. This guy can't handle me. The only reason why I lost my last fight is because that cut. But this time it was a huge wake-up call. He actually lost clearly. There is no excuse for Tszyu losing this fight. So, but you know what I mean, guys? He had a lot of things going into this fight that made him overlook and underestimate Backram. Same with Devin Haney, about Ryan Garcia. It's hard to take a guy seriously when he was doing the antics Ryan was doing. I'm not going to lie. It would be hard to focus on that competitive spirit, because when you have a guy training really hard for you and he wants to rip your head off, it motivates you to want to do better. But when you got a guy it seems like he's not even focusing on the fight, he doesn't even care about the fight, you kind of lose interest too. It's not an excuse though, but yeah, I feel like Devin got overconfident as well. And Devin was already, his ego was on an all-time high. He was out of control to begin with. Devin thought he was the shit, and he got humbled. You know what I mean? So there was already a problem with Devin Haney going into the fight. Even if Ryan was completely focused, I feel like Devin Haney's ego was kind of getting out of control, and it was a wake-up call for him. When you're not as way bigger than the guy, you're gonna have problems. Like, he was beating up on smaller guys. He was weight bullying a lot of his previous bigger wins. Like, even though I thought he lost the Lomachenko fight, the Regis Prograis totally weight bullying in that fight. I mean, he fought a guy his own size, and I think he bought into his hype too much. He thought Bill Haney was calling him the face of boxing, the next Mayweather, and he got a wake-up call. And so I feel like overconfidence and big ego plus underestimated Ryan was his downfall. And for Tszyu, it was Backram Martazalia. Looking at his last fight, he didn't look that great. He fought a bunch of tomato cans before that no one really knew. He looked good, but who knew them? Tszyu thought the only reason why he lost his last fight, and a lot of people, like I said, it was a close fight, and it could have went either way on the scorecards, what I remember. It was a close fight, but I think Tszyu had that excuse of, oh, that cut going in my eye, that's why I lost it. I would have won that if I wasn't compromised. So he had that ego still, that pride of, and that, like I said, he had the ego thinking he was still indestructible, and I'm technically still, he thought mentally he was still undefeated, but he found out that no, this guy Backram is no joke, And if you look at his face in the fight when he got dropped, he got up. He had that Curtis Stevens moment against Gennady Golovkin. When he got up, it wasn't as dramatic. Like Curtis Stevens was like, but I mean, it was similar. It was the oh shit moment. It was the moment when Fury rose from the grave against Wilder after that devastating knockdown. Wilder was like, he had the oh shit moment. You know what I mean? Like, there's a bunch of those in boxing that are, makes boxing great. You know what I mean? When you get those kind of moments. But we had one in the Tszyu fight. The look on his face was iconic because he just looked like oh fuck, he looked like he found out. You know what I mean? He found out that Backram was no joke, and Backram was gonna try to take his head off. You know what I mean? Yeah. So he fucked around and he found out. You know what I mean? And but I think I still, like I said, I fully respect Tszyu way more than Devin Haney, because at least Tszyu will take the loss like a man, but Devin Haney doesn't. There's always an excuse for Devin Haney, and so I feel like it's still going to be tremendously hard for Tszyu to come back for from something like this, because he got demolished, he got dismantled. It's not like it was just like a one-punch knockout. And that's bad too. Any knockout is bad, to be honest. But he got dropped over and over again. So he's in his prime. He's still young. He's 31, I think, right? Or 29. I think he's 29. Yeah, so he can still recover from this, but it's going to be hard mentally and physically. He's got to go back to the drawing board, and he's got to ease more into the fight. He's got to learn, I can't just pressure a guy like he's nothing from round one. I can get caught and get knocked out. So he's got to learn from this. Devin Haney, I don't know if he did learn from this. I know he's going to train probably harder and work on things, but I think mentally, I mean, I don't know if Devin Haney's learned from that mentally, that loss. So yeah, I respect Tszyu a lot more. Hopefully he bounces back, because I want him to. He's good for boxing. He's just a class act. So, I mean, his father got knocked out before his biggest wins in his career, so he bounced back. So I assume his son can as well. So, yeah, because I think Costa Tszyu got knocked out earlier in his career, and he bounced back to beat Zab Judah a couple fights after that, or I don't know the timeline, but because I remember I looked at his resume, I'm like, did this happen to his father? And then it did. You know what I mean? So it's definitely, it can happen. Like Pacquiao got knocked out, he came back, and he was actually older. So I think mentally you can get past that, and physically I think he can as well, because he's still young. So, but yeah, guys, that's what I have for this video. Let me know if you agree. Is there similarities there? But that's what I have for the video. This is Triple J Boxing. Thanks for watching, guys. Take care.